everybody, I'm Mark Nagi, and this is TNI's High School Football 95. Yeah! Welcome back, everybody, to TNI's High School Football 95. We've come here to Neyland Stadium, the site of the Kickoff Classic. It's our first look at 14 area teams. Each are going to play a quarter. But these teams have been practicing since the end of July and into the dog days of August through the 2-a-days and the 3-a-days in unbearable heat. Let's take our tour around area camps to Region 2 5A, where the two schools that competed for the title in 1994 are going to compete for it again in 1995. On October 20th, 1994, the Oak Ridge Wildcats traveled to Farragut to take on the Admirals. Both teams were 7-0 and in the top 10 in the state. It was a seesaw game throughout, and it came down to the final 4 minutes, when Oak Ridge led by 7, 3rd and 1 in their own territory. What happened next clinched the game for Joe Gaddis's Wildcats. They pitched to Williams, and he'll have the first down and more. Williams to the 40, the 30, the 20. Sean Williams will score. Touchdown, Oak Ridge. This year, Region 2 5A could come down to the same two teams. Let's start with Oak Ridge. If you're an Oak Ridge Wildcat, winning isn't something you hope for, it's something you expect. 8 state championships, with the last coming in 1991, is a big part of that. Head coach Joe Gaddis says that history has played a part in Oak Ridge's success.
I've coached several places, and this is the only place that I've ever coached where every time we step on the field, it's almost like our players know they're going to win. No matter how far we may be behind in the fourth quarter, that we're going to come back and win like the Oak Ridge teams of old always seem to do. And it's just a confidence factor that I think separates perhaps us from a lot of people, and I think that certainly works to our advantage as opposed to being a hindrance.
From an All-American and a Tennessee Volunteer in Sean Summers, to Sean Williams, who had a spectacular career as a Wildcat. Now it's Sean Bohannon. The backfield has been a weapon at Oak Ridge.
Sean Bohannon is going to be an excellent tailback for us. He's about 6'2", 6'2 and a half, 190, 195 pounds, the biggest guy we've had by far. And speed-wise, he ranks right up in there with the other two that you mentioned, perhaps even faster. You know, whether he's going to be that type of tailback or not, who knows? But he's certainly got the right first name, and we like Sean's at the tailback position.
But if Oak Ridge is to repeat as region champions, they will need to get strong performance from the quarterback position, where a converted wide receiver, Mike Gibson, will be at the helm. Gibson! And it's not a surprise that the Oak Ridge Wildcats are favored once again to win Region 2 in Class 5A. Remember, last year this team made it all the way to the state semifinals. And as always, their key game will be against their arch rivals, the Farragut Admirals. The Farragut Admirals are always in the postseason hunt, but this year they'll do it with a new collection of stars, including the replacement for Chris Avens, one of the KFL's best behind center last year. Head coach Buddy Fisher is confident in this new quarterback's abilities.
Right now it looks like TJ Mahan's going to step in and do a good job. He's doing well in practice, and as you said, we lost like 8 starters on offense and 8 starters on defense, so we're going to be inexperienced. It's going to be our problem early in the year, and as you know, our schedule is very tough in the middle of the year, so our guys are going to have to grow up early.
The difficult schedule doesn't get any easier out of the region. Right off the bat comes Powell, a matchup you can see on TNI's Game of the Week. Coach Fisher knows there won't be too many easy games.
I mean, you can't look over Powell because they've got a fine team and a lot of people back from last year, so we can't overlook anybody. We've just got to go one at a time and go from there.
In the backfield, look for big things from Kishan Dixon, a speed burner that should handle the ball a great deal. The Farragut Admirals as a whole are a very inexperienced team in 1995. They'll rely a great deal on their solid offensive line. The Bearden Bulldogs enter this season with question marks on just how to replace Mikhail Smith. Mikhail is a top kick returner and defensive back in the KFL, and Coach Bill Young says it will take a team effort to fill the void.
McHale's really a once-in-a-lifetime type player. He's really an excellent whatever he did. So we feel like we've got good people to put in. It's just that we're doing it with 3 or 4 people instead of 1. And as I say, he was a special player, and we're gonna miss him. But life goes on, and we're anxious to see how he does out there. But I think we'll do just fine also.
A new region brings new challenges, and Bearden appears to be ready for the tough road ahead.
Well, it's a tough schedule. I think we're used to it, I believe, since in our region last year was awfully tough also. We had Cleveland in our region, Powell was in our region, Halls and Maryville. As far as the toughness of the schedule, it will be difficult, there's no question, and I hope we're used to it. I think we are. Cleveland, I think, can play with just about anybody, so we're used to playing them every year. And so we're used to it, and hopefully we're up to playing good football.
Junior Patrick French started most of last season behind center, and he's expected to get the nod on opening night. But Steve Slack will also be competing for playing time. Vincent Nico will be called on to shoulder most of the ground attack. The Bearden Bulldogs could be a sleeper in Region 2 5A, but it's tough anytime you're in a region with perennial powers Oak Ridge and Farragut. The Bearden Bulldogs will try and use team speed to beat their opponents this season, but when they match up against the big physical teams of Region 2 and Class 5A, they could run into some problems. The Bulldogs' key game is at Clinton in the first week of October. And now let's take a look at the rest of this region. Campbell County will struggle even with some experienced players returning to the Cougars. Cumberland County has a realistic chance at 4th place with Kyle Eldridge in the backfield. Carnes High School jumps to 5A and should be more competitive this season, and they came off a fine performance against South Doyle in the Jamboree. And Clinton could make a return to the playoffs with a solid rushing attack. And here at TNI Sports, we predict the Oak Ridge Wildcats to win Region 2 in Class 5A. Now let's check out Region 1. If losing builds adversity, then the Heritage Mountaineers may have the toughest skin in the area. But if the end of last season is any indication, it could be Heritage dishing out some punishment. Head coach Jim Moore knows it's been a struggle, but it looks like their fortunes are changing.
Well, you start a new program, you get new offense, new defense, the discipline thing. The kids got to get used to you, so that takes a while. But I think it came together, and I hope that we're ready to go on now and start something that people around here will be proud of.
The schedule has not been kind to the Mountaineers. First off, a long-running rivalry with Maryville won't be played in 1995, and the early starts of the season may limit this team's progress.
With PSSAA moving the season back a week, it's hurt us. A lot of kids still had to work and weren't able to come out, so the numbers are still a big problem.
Look for Heritage to improve on their 1-9 mark, especially if college prospect Scotty Russell has a solid season at quarterback. Coach Moore is still in the middle of a rebuilding program at Heritage High School. Last year was the first step. More hard knocks are on the horizon, unfortunately, for the Mountaineers, and if more injuries come into play, it could be a long season for Heritage. And taking a tour around the rest of Region 1 5A, Science Hill looks to get back on top with Michael Lewis replacing All-State tailback Terry Copeland. Jeff County looks to repeat as the region champions, and they're eyeing a Week 6 matchup with Science Hill. DB may be too inexperienced for November Pigskin this year, but watch out for Dobbins Bennett even without Kai Bell. Tony Wallace will get 20 carries a game for Morristown East and should gain over 1,000 yards once again. Sevier County tries to replace UNC signee Alan Modridge. South Doyle, Heritage, and William Blount finish out the region, and here at TNI Sports we predict Jefferson County to repeat as the region champions. That's a look at the 5A schools. When we come back, we'll check out the schools in 4A, including the Powell Panthers, the favorite in Region 2. But hot on their tail are the Central Bobcats, the Halls Red Devils, and the West Rebels. So stay tuned. You're watching TNI's High School Football 95.
For 4 decades, Morristown-Hamblin Healthcare System has been our region's most trusted provider of healthcare services, with comprehensive and innovative programs, including women's and children's health, emergency services, home health care, and community outreach programs. We're working hard to ensure that the reputation we built over 40 years grows stronger every day with every family we serve. Morristown-Hamblin Healthcare System, your new healthcare professionals.
At AutoZone, most of our customers are folks who like to work on their cars themselves. But the ones who come in most often are those who work on cars for a living. Guys like Ed Graven. Now, Ed's garage is in Ogden, Utah, where most of the time you'll find him pulling an engine or sliding under a car. And just about every day, he drives past a half dozen other parts stores on his way to AutoZone. Because Ed knows that when it comes to getting the right part for the right price, there's just no place better than AutoZone.
Hi, I'm Margie Eisen. I appreciate good artwork and enjoy a good bargain, too. That's why I come to the largest art and framing showroom in East Tennessee, the Art and Frame Outlet. There are thousands of oil paintings and prints to choose from, plus ornate gold leaf and ready-made hardwood frames and pre-cut mats. All 50% off every day. Let the professionals do it or take the work home yourself. The Art and Frame Outlet, Kingston Pike, just west of Lovell Road. You can't afford to frame anyplace else.
When I hurt my back in an accident, I could barely comb a dog, much less lift one. The pain was so intense. Then my doctor recommended Hosenfeld Chiropractic. Now the pain's gone. Without medicine or surgery, Dr. Hosenfeld literally changed my life. That's what they mean by whole health. Now I can do what I really love to do.
A family commitment to Hosenfeld Chiropractic.
Welcome back, everyone, to TNI's High School Football 95. Now, last year in Region 3 4A, Cleveland and Powell met on the final day of the season to decide the championship. Well, it was a game that Powell Panther fans would rather forget, a 35-10 thrashing at the hands of the eventual state champions. Now, this year, Powell has moved into Region 2. That should make things a lot easier, right? Not in this league. Let's check out Region 2 in Class 4A and start with the favorites, the Powell Panthers.
Good God.
The Powell Panthers work out in their traditional black shirts, even through unbearable heat. And they don't plan on letting anything else get in their way either. And while they're considered to be the top team in the region, the Panthers don't appear to be looking ahead. Mark Nagi here. We're joined by Clark Duncan, the head coach of the Powell Panthers. And Coach Duncan, a lot of people are calling your team right now the favorite in the region. Do you like that?
Well, I don't know what they know, because it's something obviously I don't know. Our region is so competitive that you couldn't pick a winner out of it right now. It's going to be a hard-fought 10 weeks, and whoever can survive the brutal physical battle, then they'll be on top into the playoffs.
Powell's new region means tougher competition, even without the defending state champions from Cleveland.
You lose Cleveland, you pick up Central, you know, and it's just going to be a dogfight. You know, Maryville and Hall's always, and Anderson County is good, and it's going to be tough.
Last year, the Panthers were led by standout quarterback Matt Lowe, who also played defensive back and returned kicks. He was a leader in every sense of the word. This year, Colin Steen will take over behind center, and Coach Duncan is very confident in Steen's ability.
Well, Colin Steen has been our backup for the last 2 years. He was our everything last 2 years at tailback and receiver, and he stepped in and is doing a great job for us.
The Panthers never seem to have a problem finding leaders, and this year is no different. Anderson County will be a special game on the schedule this season. Last year, the Mustangs upset Powell. The Hall's Red Devils entered the 1995 campaign with one of the most experienced squads in the KFL. And it's a good thing with the likes of West, Powell, and Anderson County on the slate. Head coach Gary Shepard knows it'll be a tough road if his team is going to still be playing football in November.
I can't look down a 8-game region schedule from Maryville down to Central and find someone that we can sit there and say, hey, I believe we can beat these guys. It's going to be a dogfight every week, but it's going to be a dogfight not only for Halls but for the other 8 teams in the region. So it's if there's a stronger region in this state in 4A, I want to see who it is, because I don't know that there's anybody any better top to bottom.
Right now, the quarterback slot is up for grabs. Ryan Mabe and John Shepard are battling for the top spot, and with opening night just around the corner, the final verdict is still not in.
Right now, we don't have a clear-cut starter. We may even go into the first game and alternate them by series or quarter or whatever. I don't know. We'll make that judgment after tomorrow night's scrimmage and after next Tuesday's scrimmage and then after the Jamboree.
But in the end, the Hall's Red Devils will have to find a way to replace Spencer Thomas. The all-purpose back that gained over 1,000 yards last season has graduated. The Red Devils' offensive line may be the best in the KFL. If Halls can stay away from the injury bug, Gary Shepard will find his way into the playoffs for the first time as head coach. Knoxville West is traditionally one of the area's top defensive teams, and even with some major losses, head coach Bill Wilson sees the Rebels still being strong.
Well, we think we're going to be a pretty good defensive football team, but of course when you lose 16 seniors, and actually we've lost 5 players from last year's that did not return for one reason or the other. But to replace 2 all-state middle linebackers is really tough. But we have some good young kids who are really aggressive, and in the scrimmages we have so far, I felt like the defense has been aggressive, and if you're aggressive, that's going to take care of a lot of your problems.
Paul Shearer is expected to get the call at quarterback, and he'll have some big guns to throw to.
We feel like we have 3 of the finest receivers in East Tennessee with Caldwell, Jackie Bowers, and Nelson's brother, Jermaine. So we feel like we have to get the ball to them. We feel like with the receivers we have to get the ball in their hands.
And keep an eye on Jackie Bowers. This young wide receiver has great hands and super breakaway speed, so expect him to light up the scoreboard. The Rebels made it all the way to the state playoffs in 1994, but the going will be tougher this season. Knoxville West must develop a running game to complement their passing attack. The Central High School Bobcats were a surprise entry in last season's playoffs with a great end-of-season run. But this year they won't be able to sneak up on anyone, and Coach Joel Helton eyes some new competition in Tennessee's toughest 4A region.
I think you got to look at what Halls has and Anderson County and everybody else down through there. Who knows, you know? If you went on last year's stuff, our record, I surely don't think it'd be us. But the big, strong teams, big linemen, I think I have an edge in the region, not knowing what Cott County, of course, and Morristown West has.
Central will return stars like Terry Carr at quarterback and running back Rodney Simmons, a speed burner that defenses will have major problems defending. But right now, the Bobcats must work on something else.
Being a team, bottom line. But if we can't be a team, we're just going to be a bunch of individuals out there playing for themselves, and we won't be very successful.
The Bobcats are going to need to settle some internal differences before they can go after the area's best. Rodney Simmons is an early candidate for Player of the Year, and he already has college scouts salivating. The Maryville Rebels are taking aim at a return to the playoffs. Head coach Tim Hammontree will expect his players to call on last year's experience if the team is to play in November again.
These guys went to the first playoff together. They experienced what a playoff week would be like. And that was the first step in developing the program and developing tradition, is to get that first one in, make a return the next year, take another step and go a little bit farther. Because each year after these sophomores and juniors who are not starters go through another practice and another practice week, they're 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks ahead of everybody else they play next year. And that's what that playoff situation is all about.
Defensively, this team looks solid again, especially with a quick linebacking core.
We have good speed there. Our slowest linebacker right now runs somewhere around a 4.8 or a 4.78, right around in there. So we got good speed there.
Maryville's wing T offense was susceptible to strong running defenses last year, and that's why you can expect the Rebels to air it out a bit more this season.
We've got to keep people from putting 8 men on the line of scrimmage and playing the run all the time, so we worked real hard all summer on our passing game, and the scrimmages that we've been into, you know, we've done the same thing. We've thrown the ball a lot, and we're pretty comfortable with our quarterback situation we have now.
Jeffrey Cummings is the main man in the Rebels' wing T. With another 1,000-yard season, Maryville's offense could prove to be difficult to stop. Dale Chrisman's Trojans of Morristown West have been working hard during two-a-days, just waiting for their chance to take on the Knoxville area's best, as well as the rest of Region 2 4A. But the Trojans could be the sleeper in this region because of experience at the skill positions, especially in the backfield.
The tailback, we got Travis Rogers, and he gained over 1,200 last year, and should be among one of the state's best at running back. And you got some receivers that can catch, so it should be exciting for us. We're looking really forward to it.
The road will be rough because of their powerful competition, and Coach Chrisman would like to call on a few ghosts of the past for some help.
It's so demanding. I said, you know, maybe they need to bring Vince Lombardi and the Green Bay Packers back. That'd be a challenge to them. So certainly we don't have a game where we're not going to have to fight for a life, and I've never been faced with one that every game was like that.
And if games get tight late, watch out for Chris Memford, who is capable of knocking them home from over 45 yards. The Trojans are one of the area's most experienced teams. This will help Travis Rogers emerge from the shadow of Knoxville schools to become a standout among running backs. And taking a look around the rest of Region 2 4A, Anderson County looks to return to the playoffs. Cog County will be rebuilding this season, and the Carter Hornets could sting the competition with senior running back Malik King. And here at TNI Sports, we predict the Powell Panthers to win a tight race. Well, Region 2 in Class 4A looks like it's going to be a dogfight throughout. Whoever comes out of that region sure will be ready for the playoffs. Now, when we come back on TNI's High School Football 95, we'll concentrate on the best of the rest. In Class 3A, we'll look at the Austin East Roadrunners. They're looking to rebound from a disappointing 5-6 season. In Class 2A, the Webb Spartans will try and find a way to replace their star quarterback, Chad Pennington. And in Class 1A, the Catholic Fighting Irish are looking for a region championship. Stay with us. You're watching TNI Sports.
Mississippi, you're there for me.
After 25 years as a CAD operator, I was faced with a sudden career change. So Mississippi State gave me a quality education in environmental engineering, which qualified me for my job I have now at TCRD. Well, whether starting out or starting over, I recommend Mississippi State for lifelong learning.
Mississippi State, your success connection.
Time is running out. Only 14 new Fords remaining at unheard of prices during the limited red tag sale at Ray Viles Ford in Clinton. A new 95 Thunderbird LX V8, dual airbags, keyless entry, power moonroof, power seats, air, anti-lock brakes, and much more. List $22,240. Red tag price $15,490. That's right, a fully loaded new 95 Thunderbird for only $15,490. Now during the limited red tag sale at Ray Viles Ford in Clinton.
$400 for the cake.
And the Jacksons came all that way.
$35 a head times 150 people. $1,200 for the band.
Everyone had such a good time.
Nobody even danced.
10 years ago, Jim Pratt only had a 60% chance of surviving his cancer.
And the ceremony was so beautiful.
$250 for the limo. Did you see a limo?
But thanks to 80 years of cancer research,
Did you see how happy she was?
he now has more important things to worry about.
Yeah. I wouldn't have missed it.
The American Cancer Society. We offer hope.
Back, everybody, to TNI's High School Football 95. Now, in Region 2 of Class 3A, the Austin East Roadrunners are a perennial power. Last year was a disappointment, a 5-6 season. For most teams, that's okay, but not for Austin East. And this year, they're going to have to do it with youth, including a super sophomore at quarterback. The Roadrunners are considered by many to be the favorite for the Region 2 3A title, but they'll have to do it with some new faces and new places. 6 sophomores could crack the starting lineup. Offensively, AE will be under the control of John Lowry. The super sophomore must perform if the Roadrunners are to make it past round 1 in the playoffs, and that's something the Roadrunners could not do in '94. We're joined now by Richard Glasper, the head coach of the Austin East Roadrunners. And Coach Glasper, last season a disappointing one, 5-6. Not what Roadrunners fans have grown to expect with your squad.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's been actually 5-6. You know, we made it to the playoffs. You know, some teams didn't make it to the playoffs. We try to find the positive, you know, in view of the fact that we did lose in the first round of the playoffs and so forth. So I get by most standards by our standard. Of course, we were a pretty disappointing season there.
Going through the rest of Region 2 3A, Austin East should win this region. Horace Maynard's line will propel the Red Devils to the playoffs again. The Fulton Falcons look for another Cinderella season. Gibbs, Rutledge, and Claiborne County finish up Region 2 3A. The Webb Spartans are one of the teams hoping to survive the wild Region 2 in Class 2A. Head coach David Meskey knows just what a challenge this will be.
I'll tell you this, when you look at our district, there's 5 teams that have won state championships in previous years, so it's the strongest 2A district in the state. Because if you let it down, you're going to get beat.
This year, a new quarterback will be at the helm. Hal Bybee takes over for Chad Pennington, who has taken his skills to the thundering herd of Marshall. And Bybee looks ready to take control of the Spartans' wing T offense.
Ted was a 3-year starter for us, and he not only was a great talent, but he was an unbelievable leader on our football team. Hal Bybee is his replacement this year. Hal's, taken over the team. He knows it's his, and he's done the job, and I'm very excited about the progress he's made, especially in his leadership skills.
The first few weeks of the season will be the key, with tough matchups against Sweetwater and Alcoa. And look for Matt Husky to emerge as one of the top running backs in the area. Webb could sneak into the playoffs this year with a strong start to the season. Now looking around the rest of the region, the Tornadoes of Alcoa should advance to the playoffs with a young, speedy team. Sweetwater loses a ton of talent from last year's 10-3 squad. Harriman surely will miss Tennessee Volunteer freshman Jermaine Copeland. And Oneida could miss the playoffs for the first time in 10 years, even after last year's 11-0 mark. Rockwood and Wartburg round out the region. In Region 1 1A, the Catholic Fighting Irish will be looking to cash in their frequent flyer miles this season. Head coach Mark Chate's squad will be putting the ball in the air at every opportunity.
We can start throwing it as soon as we get warmed up, and we'll stay throwing it the whole game. That's our whole philosophy this year, is just to throw it to everybody. Anybody can catch it, and we'll throw it to them. We'll try.
This form of attack is at the right arm of J.R. Seapos. In '94, Seapos threw for over 2,000 yards, and he could match that mark once again.
It's been doing real well. We went down and scrimmaged in Chattanooga last week, and JR did a good job throwing the ball around and threw it around to a lot of different receivers, and David Philhours catching the ball real well, and Jay Coatney catching the ball. And had a lot of catches. We probably threw it about 45 out of 50 plays.
The Fighting Irish appear to be set on the offensive side of the ball, but they must improve defensively if they're to make a run at Cofield for the Region 1 1A title. Taking a look around the rest of Region 1 1A, quarterback Andy Lowe, a Doug Flutie clone, should lead Cofield to another title. Cloudland needs to find some more linemen for their playoff run. North Green hasn't made the playoffs since 1992, but that may change this season with an experienced team, and they'll battle Oakdale and Sunbright for the final playoff spot. The Catholic Fighting Irish could contend for a region championship this season, but as far as they go will depend on the right arm of J.R. Seapos. He's a junior now. Last year as a sophomore, he had a spectacular season. If he can follow that up with another solid one, the Fighting Irish could contend. I'll be back with a wrap-up of TNI's High School Football 95 in just a moment. Stay right there.
About yourself is easy when grown-ups say nice things, but hearing mean things like "you're stupid" or "jerk" can pack a punch that hurts just like a fist. Unfortunately, adults sometimes forget that. Look, you're special, and you deserve to feel good about yourself. If someone's punching you out with mean words, send for this free comic book from the National Committee to Prevent Child Abuse. Write, "Words Can Hurt."
It's not how you play the game, it's who you play it with.
He's a man with a mission.
I am so busy and so crucial and so important to the daily functioning of many Americans.
Leaving no liberal unturned.
There's no leadership there. Our sum total of our foreign policy is it's up to them.
He's shaking up America.
Don't try this at home. I am so good at this, I make it look easy, and everybody thinks they can do it.
Rush Limbaugh.
That's right, me.
Weekdays at 7:30 p.m. and 12:30 p.m. on TNI.
You don't want to miss TNI's High School Football Game of the Week. We kick off our schedule with a bang as the Powell Panthers take on the Farragut Admirals in an early season matchup for KFL supremacy. That's Saturday morning at 9 a.m. and Sunday night at 7:30 for TNI's High School Football Game of the Week. So that'll do it for TNI's High School Football 95. It looks like it's going to be a spectacular season. For everyone behind the scenes here at TNI Sports, I'm Mark Nagi. Have a good night, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
And it's all on TNI. It's the Disney Afternoon, and it's on weekdays at 4 on TNI.
Bob, Joe, and Nelson each represented the finest qualities of American citizenship. For their service and their sacrifice in the cause of peace and freedom, it is my honor